Kia ora, my name is Suda, or the Studio on the Discord. Today we're talking about Altered State Machine, or ASM. They're a New Zealand-based company who are putting forward a new patent-pending protocol called Non-Fungible Intelligence. It's an open-source artificial intelligence agent owned as an NFT that can perform tasks in the metaverse. If those words didn't mean anything to you, not a problem. I'll break it down so by the end of this video series, you'll have enough knowledge to make an informed decision on whether or not to invest in ASM. Please note, this video is very long, refer to the table of contents, and if you need to take a break, you'll know where to pick up from. By now, most people have accepted that cryptocurrencies are proof of value, as in person X's Bitcoin or Ethereum, etc., can't be copied or duplicated on the blockchain because every coin is unique. Not being able to copy something in the digital realm is hugely valuable, as evidenced by Bitcoin's meteoric rise. Non-fungible tokens are an evolution to this. Unlike cryptocurrency, which is a reward for supporting a particular network, NFTs can be thought of like proof of ownership tokens that live as data packets on top of the blockchain and can have added utilities depending on the development of the NFT. They can be simple 2D artworks or sound bites to fully 3D rigged models ready to interact and play in the metaverse. You can think of the metaverse as something similar to the internet itself. Instead of interfacing with a browser, you can get your NFT avatar plus a VR headset and jump right in there. Or if you don't have a VR like me, you'll just have to make do with a phone. Before we go any further, just a full disclosure, I'm a moderator on the ASM Discord, but I'm in no way affiliated with the team in any other sense. These views are my own, and it certainly isn't financial advice. But spoiler alert, I'm bullish. But I'm also just excited to bring you guys this information. I will be talking about the brains and all-stars separately, but if you are watching this video before the great unboxing, please be aware that each box contains one unique Genesis brain and 4 all-star NFTs, and the unboxing mint is going to be on December 5th, 2 p.m. PST. The mint will happen on AFA website, and instructions on exactly how this will work will be posted by the team closer to unboxing. There will be 2 separate collections on OpenSea, one for the 10,000 Genesis brains and one for the 40,000 All-Stars. And also be very aware that the official token for ASM project ASTO is going to be airdropped to Box or Genesis brain holders. The team will scan all the wallets at an undisclosed time, and ASTO will be airdropped to those who had Genesis brains or boxes at that time. To play the AFA game, you need 4 players, and each player needs a brain. So if you want to be ready, make sure to hold those brains, get some ASTO, and then start staking that ASTO to farm more brains for those other 3 players in your box. You don't need to unbox right away or even customize all the all-stars right away. Sorry to interject, this is the future Suda. While I was editing this video, Nova and Carmen, who do the marketing and all the infographic resources, dropped some mad knowledge on the great unboxing, so I'll just go through that with you now. Your first box requires a one-time approval of contract transaction and 1 unboxing gas fee. Subsequent boxes will require just the gas fee. Hardware wallet users may be subject to another gas fee. The configurator is how you customize your all-stars, and customizing your all-stars is optional, with no set dateline as of yet. The time at which you open your box does not affect the rarity of the all-stars you get, but it does affect customization, as in if someone's already picked up the customization you want, you won't be able to get it. Customizing. Depending on the all-star you mint, you can configure a whole bunch of traits, from arms, legs, eyes, toppers, accessories, and colors. The configurator won't allow any 2 all-stars to have the same configuration, so if you want a certain trait, you might have to grab it fast. And the configurator can only be used once per all-star. Once it's finalized, it becomes immutable, meaning it can't be customized. Also note, some all-stars are immutable to begin with, so as you get them is how they'll be. You can't customize them at all, like bosses and some primes, etc. On OpenSea, you'll be able to see which all-stars are configured and which ones are not. One last note, the unboxing means that your box will be burnt. That means your box won't be available on OpenSea anymore, and this is to make sure that scammers don't sell empty boxes to vulnerable newbies. And lastly, just note, box rarity doesn't apply to brains, it only applies to the forms. Okay, we will cover 5 topics in this video series. First is all going to be about non-fungible intelligence. We will discuss subtopics such as brains, use cases, memories, machine learning, training and what that means for miners, farming brains, hereditary AI, Genesis brains versus farmed, interoperability, and new markets that the brains will create. That was a lot of subtopics. In the second video, we'll focus more on the forms. This will cover the 40,000 all-stars, primes and bosses, families and traits, customization, and also forms from other worlds that may come into ASM. Then we'll move on to the topic of the DAO, or Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and tokenomics. We will cover ASTO, airdrops, governance, brains issuance, and community input, and the value that creates. And finally, I will discuss why ASM will bring together people from all over the cryptoverse, financiers, artists, gamers, developers of all kinds, miners, etc., and what that means in terms of demand for what ASM is creating. Okay, let's go. First topic, let's discuss brains. Each ASM agent is represented by a combination of brain, memories, and a form, which is the physical shell the brain uses to interact with a particular world. In this part, I'll discuss brains and memories, and part 2 will be dedicated to form. The basic gist is ASM gives you an artificial brain to own. It can learn different functions depending on the tasks created for it, from playing AFA football to drawing AI art as the thingies from Fluff World, to other use cases such as finance bots, trading via API calls, or a chatbot on a website, or a personable merchant within a game, or even an AI-based newscaster. In the case of the metaverse, think of it like we finally have NPCs to make the metaverse more vibrant and akin to the game environments you already enjoy. All brains are unique in terms of specification and attributes, so some will be better strikers in football and some will be better shooters in pew-pew games. Some may have more complex art, etc., but each brain will be connected to a genome matrix that makes sure that things are fair. No one brain will be great at everything in terms of learning and execution. In competitive tasks, brains of similar caliber and experience will be paired up so play-to-win situations do not arise. In non-competitive settings, the brains could be a personality that learns cues off its owners, or be put to use doing imitation learning to do a dance or be a DJ or write novels. In a finance bot, different brains will have riskier trades versus more conservative ones. Even a collectively trained metaverse assistant like Google Home or Siri, etc. is possible, but one that we shape on our own, with our own quirks and sentiments. By owning the AI and interacting with it, we are not part of a centralized AI data collection agency that's really only interested in advertising to you based on your personality. Most other AI-based projects have a specific use case for the AI that you lease via a particular NFT. ASM gives you the AI to develop whatever use case you can imagine and deploy it in a truly decentralized fashion as your own creation. These brains perform tasks that a developer creates for them within their world. For example, ASM have created a football game for their all-stars, and they play against each other to earn ASTO, their native coin. But the possibilities are endless. We know AFA isn't the only game that is being developed. There are possibly up to 3 games being developed in parallel, so I'm sure our brains and all-stars will be busy for years. And since it's open source and you own these assets, you are free to use them to create your own content. Okay, now let's discuss memories. Your brain is unique as in it can learn how to perform tasks, but also it remembers, which means it can train and progress. It can also remember tasks learned in different environments. If you have multiple NFTs, for instance an AFA All-Star plus a Fluff, you can teach your brain how to play football in AFA and have your Fluff learn whatever implementation that ASM brings to Fluff World, or CyberKongs or Meebits. As long as the developer of those NFT projects onboard the ASM protocol and give their NFTs a task or a game, these brains can learn and remember those experiences so they are ready to play from then on. Your brains are a one-off NFT which can be added to many shells, so you don't need a new brain for each one of your NFTs. Okay, let's move on to machine learning. Your brains out of the box are fresh and need to learn how to do tasks set in their environment. How machine learning works usually is you give an agent a task and have mechanisms in place to ensure the agent can progress. A lot of machine learning works on reward and punishment. So if an agent is a pathfinder, it gets more points the further it progresses, and if it hits that wall or anything, it fails and loses and starts again. And in the case of football, it'll try score against other players. This video is a mind-boggling example of the first implementation of machine learning agents using physics to move footballs past other players within a game engine called Unity, the same engine AFA is built on. You won't believe this, but this video is only a year and a bit old. In that time, ASM have developed and deployed an agent that is agnostic to machine learning methodologies and is owned by you to use in whatever environment or game engine you desire. Plus, they have developed a game with these ML agents that must learn to work as a team of 4, but they also have to score it in a specific goal area within the stadium. Truly bonkers stuff. Okay, now training. Unless you want to watch every single attempt a brain takes to better itself at tasks, which can take millions and millions of tries, you will need to run the tasks in parallel and in hyperspeed to get the brains trained up to a level that it can take on others in a competition setting. This is where gyms come in. Most people won't have the hardware power required to run these simulations for the brains. Hence, there will be a need for a hardware farm to provide this computational power. Training in the AIFA football game for the end user will be as simple as pushing a button and will cost ASTO to do so. Ethereum is a proof-of-work cryptocurrency which runs on hardware similar to what is needed to train AI brains. Video cards and GPUs, certain CPUs, and Mac chips can run these tasks, and since Ethereum is poised to move to proof-of-stake model, meaning sometime in the future mining will be no longer viable, all these miners, from small time to ones with vast factories worth of hardware, will be finding alternatives. And one of the best alternatives I can think of is simply switching over to being gym owners and earning ASTO with very little changeover cost. Now, the keen-eared amongst you will have noticed I said the unboxing gives 1 Genesis brain and 4 All-Stars, and you can farm extra brains by staking ASTO to fill your other All-Stars with brains. Farming brains is a mechanism used to produce more brains. These brains are fresh brains that need to train from scratch. Farmed brains are also unique brains. So what's the difference between Genesis brains and farmed brains? And why are Genesis brains so special? The thing that makes Genesis brains special is hereditary AI. It's a mechanic to pass on memories of a Genesis brain onto a baby brain. So how does this work exactly? Well, it's through breeding. So you have Genesis brain A, let's call that Jenny Brian, and Genesis brain B, we'll call that Brian Jenny. So when Brian meets Jenny, they go through a little courtship and wooing stage, I'm sure, and they decide to breed and make their own baby brain. We can call this baby Jenny. So how this works is you have to remember that the genome matrix is always active, so each brain is unique. So even Brian and Jenny's offspring will be a unique brain. Thus play football or whatever skills that the Genesis parents have passed on to it differently to its parents. It would be more economical to have a Genesis brain train in many things and then make a baby. Now this is where we start to see the incredible value metric for Genesis brains. You can train your brain in various tasks in NFT worlds and make ready-to-play baby brains as opposed to farmed brains, which will require more time for training and such. In the future, Genesis brains holders will be supporting onboarding of newcomers quickly by providing playable and demoable brains, and I think this will be the core of ASM. Interoperability. This is the cornerstone of the metaverse. It is for everyone to enjoy, and you can't build in the metaverse if you don't own the assets and the tools. ASM is a set of open source primitives. Primitives in developer terms is like building blocks. No matter how developers put together their experiences, whether it's a game or a social gathering or a utility, etc., ASM allows them to add brains that bring that experience to life. There are only a handful of AI companies today, and all of these protect their technology. By making it decentralized, ASM have put the innovation and the speed of innovation into exponential territory, from fitting out existing projects with brains to future projects, so long as they develop a use case for a brain, and once NFT communities start hearing about brains, it will eventually be a staple in the NFT market. Brains represent a new and exciting meta market within NFT groups. For any ASM-equipped NFT, the community are going to want brains. I'll stick to the example of AFA, but as new projects come out, this will also apply. And trading between projects is also another metric. Usual brainless NFTs have a base form and some color changes for rarer mints. The next evolution was 3D NFTs that are sculpted and rigged. Fluff World has been at the forefront on making NFTs truly customizable and expressive, with different clothing traits, backgrounds, music, and now even a fully VR-ready social hangout called Burrows. Now imagine all of this but with brains added. Let's use the example of trading players and brains within the context of AFA football. We will ignore the play-to-earn value for now as well. The game will need 4 players and each player needs a brain. So the base all-stars will have a value. You have to remember these are fully rigged 3D models as well, ready to be made into anything you choose. Maybe you want to make a horror game with zombies. Okay, how about the value of a player plus a farmed brain that is ready to learn football? Now a player plus a farmed brain that has already trained in football and is ready to play. Then we have to consider the power of Genesis brains. If you have a player plus a Genesis brain, you could potentially train up a Genesis brain and make a baby brain that already knows how to play football, or you can make a baby brain and have that play to earn for you while you train the Genesis brain in some other NFT world. The more things you can train your Genesis brain in, the more valuable the baby brain will be. As you can see, brains, and especially Genesis brains, are going to be immensely valuable to us. Alright, that brings us to the end of part 1. These videos should serve as a primer for anyone getting into ASM. Look out for the forms video up next. Thanks for watching. Please comment below what you think about brains and ASM, and if you have any questions, just let me know and I'll do my best to find the answers for you. Thanks again. Ka kite.